Robert Redford became one of the defining faces of American cinema. From Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid and The Sting to Jeremiah Johnson, All Is Lost, his career stretched across generations of filmmaking. But Redford's impact went beyond acting. With the creation of the Sundance Film Festival, he helped build a space where independent filmmakers could be discovered outside the traditional studio system. Over the course of his life, he moved between film, directing, environmental work, and painting, while continuing to shape the culture around storytelling itself. And by the end of his career, Redford represented something larger than movie stardom. He represented longevity, independence, and the belief that meaningful stories still matter. Robert Redford portrayed an image of an iconic movie star, but he initially started out in the San Fernando Valley in Van Nuys. He went to the same high school as Marilyn Monroe. I actually grew up in Van Nuys. I grew up in the San Fernando Valley. His path was kind of a presetter of what was to come for his career. He was in Hollywood already. He also went through different phases in his life where he was rebellious, liked to climb mountains. As a matter of fact, he would be coming to Palm Springs quite a bit to climb the mountains in Palm Springs and find his way. Eventually went to Europe and became an artist for a certain while and realized he really loved acting. Now, there was a time where I reached out to him personally regarding a project in his latter years. He responded with a letter, and it was pretty enormous for me as a filmmaker and as an artist. There are some recordings that I put together for you where he talks about the arts, he talks about film, talks about directing, he talks about Sundance. So check it out, and I hope you enjoy it.
If you cut right down to the bone, I became an actor first, and I think that's what I am. I'm glad. I was proud. I don't know about proud, but I'm glad. I don't, if I think back on it, I don't think there was any choice. But I think it was a life-saving choice, if you want to know the truth. Well, I think things that are really fundamental. Thinking about a book I read once by Hillman, James Hillman, and it was called The Soul's Code, and he talks about this thing called the acorn, which is something you were meant to do or be. And some people miss it, some people get it, some people get it at different times in their lives. But whatever it is, it's the thing that you came into this world meant to do. And he called it the acorn. And I guess that's what I'm talking about, the thing that you were meant to do but didn't recognize it in your journey getting there. But when it hit, you knew it was right. That's what I mean. And it was, none of those things came as a package. And it was never, one thing you lose sight of, what I meant when I said that at the academy, is that you go along with your life, you just put one foot in front of the other, and you have ideas or visions, whatever you want to call them, and they come to you and you try to fulfill them, but you don't necessarily have a big context for it. It evolves. It's an evolutionary thing, so that one thing leads to another until finally you had a way station, a point along the way where two or three things come together and you realize, oh, that's what's happening. But you don't plan it that way to begin with because you don't know enough. You're too young, you're too naive, you haven't had enough experience, you haven't gotten to the point of wisdom yet. So I think that's what I meant. I was so focused, obviously a pretty ambitious guy from the get-go. And when you've got that, you've got something you want to do. It was basically tied to my work as an actor to begin with. So when it turned into directing, it evolved to another place, which meant for me incorporating two things that I never dreamed would happen. One thing I thought I'd lost, which was art. Started out to be an artist. And had a struggle when I became an actor, giving up something that I thought I was meant to do or be in exchange for something I wasn't sure about, but I finally made that commitment when I realized it was, and then thought I had to lose something in order to be something else. So when the time came for me to direct, and it was my own doing, I wanted to direct. I had this instinct that I wanted to and needed to. I just wanted my own authorship on something. I realized that the art and the acting came together because I could design. I could design the idea. I could design my impulses or what have you. And I could also employ my knowledge as an actor to work with the actors, which I loved. So as things came together, but it wasn't planned 10 years before that. The same with Sundance. It was, you start out, it's usually personal. It's usually something that is basically going to benefit you in some way. That's what charges you out. For me, it was creating or attempting to create a mechanism where new artists, young artists, just new artists, would have a chance to sustain the importance of their independent voices, because the world was going to change. That was inevitable. And when the change came, what was going to be solid for artists to hold on to? A mechanism where they knew they could always come to work. So in a sense, it would also be a community, which was another important thing to me, because I witnessed the loss of community over and over and over again in my life. So one thing led to the other until finally, when the opportunity comes, you say, oh, well, hello, this is okay. Let's go here. Let's pull this into it, and so forth. But so it was a cumulative thing. And I never have minded wonder or what was the mystery of what was out there. In fact, it always excited me. I perhaps that's why there was a limit to what I wanted to know about science. A limit to how far math was going to take me in the equation. I was not a good math student. I was impatient with math because I couldn't find the life in it. There were numbers being moved around on a page, and now I realized later how wrong I was, because it's the essence of music. And
Sure.
Yeah. So I was dead wrong about that, but I was trying to find the life in it, and therefore there was a limit to what I could go with. Anyway, all that changes. The great thing about life is if you're open, nothing stays the same. But anyway, that's what it was about. Yeah, because you never think about it while you're doing it. You never think about a body of work when you're sort of forced on you in a nice way because you're being honored for this or that, but it is forced on you. It's not something you're seeking. I don't wish to look for an award. I don't wish to look for an achievement of a life achievement award, because for me, it's still going. If a book's to be written, I'd rather do it myself. I don't have that option either. A book is being written on my life without it's okay. I mean, those things happen, but I would rather, if I was going to write about my life, I would write about it in a different way. It would not be so autobiographical. It would be the truth, but it would be in more of an art form, like short stories, just vignettes, experiences of my life that happened to me that impacted me in a way that shaped me. I would write that in an art form of short story writing, but they would be true, things that happened to me. But that's what I would do. But if somebody decides they're going to do a biography on you, then that's that. There's nothing. I said, I'm going to do it. Yeah. And whether you like it or not, the publisher said, I said, well, I wish you wouldn't. I don't think I'm that interesting. And furthermore, I just assumed the work spoke for itself. Yeah. That would make me the happiest. No, we're going to do it anyway. So, as I was in a pretty bad way as a young guy, and thought quite lost, quite edgy, pretty much always seeking the edge of everything, which wasn't healthy. No. And yet I couldn't help it. And there was a time where I worried that I might go over the edge. And so I chose art, I thought, as my avenue. And I sought adventure. I sought experiences that were going to take me out to the edge. And so a series of events along those lines, you begin to endanger your own well-being and so forth. And I think that what acting did, it was an odd form of therapy. It was an odd form of expressing yourself physically, when you would resign yourself to the fact that you were going to be an artist, which meant hand to paper to articulate what you were feeling, or a writer. But to be physical was a new one for me. And when that happened, something clicked. And I thought, I think I'm meant to do this. And therefore, all the energy that was going this way and that way, and maybe hurting other people and myself, as I was flailing around trying to find something exciting to hold on to, it all channeled into this, it all funneled into this channel, which is what I think saved me. I could put that energy, which was so displaced, I could put it into an ambition or a function that had a shape to it. For a long time, I thought, I'm not supposed to do this. Well, a lot of it had to do with how you grew up, and suddenly you're on the screen. I think I fought liking it because I didn't think I was supposed to, and I fought liking it because I thought this isn't strong enough, deep enough, all those things you do. And then finally, you just settle out a couple of years in, you say, wait a second. You have to acknowledge the reality. The reality is that you are most happy when you're doing it. You're most focused, and you can take all that stuff and you can focus that energy into creating a character or inhabiting the space of a character and completely inhabiting it. That felt terrific. I think in my heart I am. Yeah, I think in my heart. There's a lot of things that have confused it or grayed it out. But I think when you strip it all away, such as having to speak for Sundance, it's having to become what I call a statesman for Sundance. I would rather not do that. I'm happy to speak for it because I care about it. Building Sundance, there was a point to that, and there was art in that. I mean, to me, it was like sculpture. It was like a painting to create Sundance and shape it and build it and make the mistakes and erase it and start again. That was all a building situation. There was great art in it for me, but I never plan to be speaking for it so much. And so now when you're asked to speak for it, you do it because you believe in it, you care about it, but you'd rather not do that. You'd rather be a part of the thing that you created. So for me, yes, I think acting at the heart of it. I love directing because there's control in your idea. You can control your idea, not have it messed around with some merchant who has no feeling or sense for what you're doing, which is pretty much the case. Being able to control your idea, at least a lot, means a lot, but if you cut right down to the bone, I became an actor first, and I think that's what I am.